All right. Let's get a little light on here. How we doing? So shout out to anyone who was just in our playback room, part of our new Patreon thing that we're doing, live game watch along with us. Definitely better to watch this game with friends and loved ones than it was to watch it alone in my house, where I probably would have been very more frustrated. Fun to see the Deuce. We've now had. Think about this. We've had the Obi Toppin game. We've had the Quentin Grimes game. And now we've had the Deuce McBride game. 3 games in a row, a different young player on the Knicks. Has us feeling as a fan base, not completely apoplectic about things. And I think that goes not only for the fact that we obviously have players to root for this year who we think are pretty good, young players who we think are pretty good. I don't think anybody's given up on RJ Barrett, still exists. Emmanuel Quickley did not have his best game tonight. He's still very good, still have high hopes for him. But the young players give us something to look forward to every night, and they are the best part of this team right now. So that's good. But I think more from a big picture standpoint, if you want to talk about reasons to believe in this franchise still, despite the fact that this year has gone so sideways, and boy, has it gone sideways. Now 12-16. This is a front office who I think has an eye for talent, young talent at least. They've drafted well. They clearly have a player type. These kids seem to be workers. They fight, they claw, they battle, tooth, nail, the whole thing. So that's your positive, right? That's your positive. Front office has a clue, good young players, the whole thing. This year was not supposed to be about looking forward to the youth growing up. It was not supposed to be about thinking about the next draft pick that the front office could get. This year was supposed to be about winning games. And they have not done that. And, there are reasons for that. Obviously, this game, it cannot be understated how much the depth issues hurt them tonight. Obi Toppin, RJ Barrett, Quentin Grimes, all 3 of them out. And I mentioned Grimes there because I think with the issues that Alec Burks was having on especially on the offensive end, but also I thought his defense was more or less okay, but he was tired. And again, I don't blame Alec Burks one bit for showing up and being exhausted and not being able to hit shots tonight, because the guy just had a kid. And for anybody in here who hasn't had a kid, let me tell you, there's a lot of things that happen in the first 48 hours after you have a child. Sleep is not one of them. It's why I faded Alec Burks on everything when we were doing our pregame show. Somehow he ended up with 14 points, but he was 4 of 15 from the field. And he was 4 of 15 from the field. Emmanuel Quickley was 3 of 12 from the field. And then there he is, guys, the $72 million man. Thank God it's actually really only $54 million because the last year is not guaranteed. Evan Fournier, 1 for 5 overall, 0 of 4 from deep, 2 points in 29 minutes. That 29 minutes, you want to talk about 29 minutes in which you did not, it's hard for an NBA player to play 29 minutes and to be felt less than Evan Fournier was felt in this game. This season, because it has gone so sideways, has been a lot about blame. There's a lot of Kemba Walker blame at the beginning of the year. There's been Julius Randle blame throughout the year. We could talk about Julius. Julius ended the night with a nice stat line, 31 points on 21 shots. Obviously hit a bunch of threes late, hit the threes in the third quarter that mattered, or with the whatever. It's all. I think they were all in the second half. Had 7 rebounds, 3 assists. I'm not going to say this was a great Julius Randle game. Julius Randle had some not so great moments on the defensive end. He had some not great moments in transition. he was not great on offense for a lot of this game. The portion of this game where this game got away from them in the third quarter, Julius Randle was out there for all of that. And and again, that's not all on him. Alec Burks couldn't buy a bucket. Evan Fournier, we'll get back to him in a second, disappeared. The centers, Nerlens Noel, very nice game on the defensive end. Mitchell Robinson, persona non grata, is just, I don't know what to make of Mitch at this point. And Derrick Rose started the game really well, faded in the second half. You have to think he's starting to get tired, which is, again, one of the pushbacks to why don't you start Derrick Rose? And, that part of it's tough. But Julius, those are the moments where you need the guy who's kind of supposed to run the show. And Julius running the show this year has not looked great. Second unit comes in, different story. And tonight, the second unit, the biggest guy in there was obviously Deuce McBride. The only positive plus minus, he was a +4 in a game. The Knicks lost by 9. I always say game to game plus minus, throw it out the window, unless the eye test kind of matches up with it. And the eye test kind of matches up with this one. Also, again, and I think there's a super chat commenting about this. Emmanuel Quickley, only 3 of 12 from the field, but 12 points. And why did he get 12 points? Well, he got to the free throw line, obviously made a couple threes. But again, when Emmanuel Quickley's out there, he's out there. There is, and this is, I think, our first super chat, actually. Prototype NYC, Fournier, 2 points in 29 minutes. Quickley, 12 points in 22 minutes. Fournier got to go. You never for a second, when Emmanuel Quickley is in the game, forget that Emmanuel Quickley is in the game. Even Deuce McBride tonight, he's out there. Quentin Grimes, he's out there. Obi Toppin, Jesus Christ. You can't miss him. Fournier, and that's why I was kind of starting down this road a minute ago, and I'll finish it up here. The personality of this team changed so much, and he was supposed to make up the difference with his offense and his offensive versatility. And you want to talk about a guy who has just been an absolute atrocious fit. I'm not going to say he's been an atrocious player this year, because he hasn't been an atrocious player. Offensively, he's about, in terms of efficiency, he's about average for wings. Defensively, he's even had moments. He does have moments every game. But just the way he goes about playing does not fit this team in the least. And Prototype's comment to start us off here, Fournier's got to go. Well, you got to hope a team out there is he didn't work in New York. He'll work with us. I don't think a Fournier trades. So for anybody who doesn't know, anybody signed this past offseason is eligible to be traded tomorrow. I wouldn't hold my breath on a Fournier trade. I think he'll be out of here. I've said it from day one, not day one, but I've said it for a while now. I think he's going to be gone this summer in maybe a bigger deal. Maybe they find a bigger deal that they like where his money can be used before the trade deadline. We'll see. I don't think it's a toxic contract by any stretch of the imagination. Evan Fournier is still a guy who could do things. He just hasn't fit here. He hasn't fit here at all. And if there's at this point, for as much as there's a lot of frustration to go around and be targeted at different players, didn't even mention RJ. RJ's shooting struggles have been massively detrimental to this team. Fournier is probably number one on the list. He has to be. And I've been really frustrated at Julius too. But think Fournier has to be number one. Kevin Danishevsky, sorry to make you mad earlier. It's okay, Kevin. McBride, I know IQ has been struggling of late, but the reason I know his shot will come around is because the free throws are still there. I think he and McBride complement each other well. Yeah, I think McBride and Quickley are good as a backup backcourt. And I think my assumption is that when this front office looks at the long-term version of this team, their idealized version of this team over the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, my guess is that they pencil in Deuce McBride and Emmanuel Quickley as the backup point guard and the backup shooting guard. With Quickley, obviously, and maybe McBride having 6-man potential to come in and close games for you when he's hot and all those sorts of things. I think they make a lot of sense together off the bench, a little small, in terms of being like starters or whatever. But for this season, again, we're not talking about idealized versions. We're talking about this year and what do we do this year. And I'm not even talking about rescuing the team this season, this year. I'm just talking about getting back to playing a brand of basketball that we know and appreciate and you know feel good about. Do and that's where again anyone who is sitting and watching Evan Fournier play 29 minutes and saying I never want to watch him play another minute of basketball again, I'm not going to blame you. Why the fuck would you with what he puts out there? Why would you? So yeah, it's all fair at this point, and I apologized on the playback. I apologized on my halftime Zoom, and I will apologize once again. Anyone who has been in one of these super chats at any point during the year and said Macri, Grimes, McBride, got to get them in there. They're the answer. And I would always come back and I would laugh it off and I would say, come on, they're rookies. This is a team built to win 43, 45, 47. God made, who knows, upwards of 50 games. You got to get through it. You got to get through the problems with the guys that brung you, right, as it were. Well, turns out maybe I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about because those two kids, they're rookies. They're not perfect players. There's a reason they were drafted, whatever they were, 25th and 38th in the draft, or 36th. But they're NBA players, and they deserve on this team the way some of these guys are playing. They deserve time. And again, we're at game 28 now. They're not going to start putting guys in mothballs yet. But the further we go along and the further the season goes away, which is part of why I wrote the article that I did about the notion of trading Julius Randle at some point this year. Again, the term tanking has many different meanings in the NBA. The bad version of it is when you play out the string and nothing is being accomplished, and it's a bad brand of basketball, and you're not furthering any cause other than lottery balls. If all you're doing is losing games to try to get more lottery balls, you're not doing your organization any favors. If you have a system in place where you believe that culture and accountability is real, even though you're not winning games, and you have real good, talented, young core players that have shown that they deserve time, I don't know if that is tanking, but I know if this season keeps going the way it is after another 20 after another 10 or 15 or 20 games, I'm not saying it is going to go that way. They have an easier schedule coming up. But if it does go that way, these kids absolutely over the last, 30, 40 games of the year need to get time. And need to get a lot of time because they've shown it. I know it's only one game for McBride, but we saw it in Summer League too. This kid could play. Hush Zoo with another super chat comment. Evan Fournier is a comedian, right? He's just putting on an act, right? He's so hilariously bad at defense. I can't help but smile watching him play now. He plays defense. He plays defense like it's preseason. Or he plays defense like it's the last 5 minutes of a blowout. And it doesn't even matter which end of the blowout his team is on. That's how he plays defense. He's an opportunistic defender. He knows how to get in the occasional passing lane. He's not a stupid basketball player. He can swipe a ball every now and then. But he is not a fighter. He's not a battler. He's not going to make you uncomfortable. In fact, he's going to do the opposite. When Evan Fournier is on the floor, the odds are your offense will be comfortable. And I think being on that Orlando team, and I know Vucevic was the backstop for those teams, but they had a lot of really good defenders. I think it may have masked, a lot of his defensive inefficiencies. And we're seeing it now. Not all on him. Not all on him. But a lot of it is. Jeremy Chase. We may all disagree over Julius, Fournier, and what to do next. But can we all celebrate and agree that Reggie Miller is a colossal tool? Go New York. Reggie Miller is the worst at life, and he sucks. And he and his belly tattoo should go and not announce basketball games anymore because it's painful, and he's not good at it. Great player, great shooter, Hall of Famer, was an automatic entrant onto my top 75. Did not think there was any conversation needed about him. Arguably one of the 50 greatest players to ever live. Terrible. Awful. Knicks folks. Nice text, pinned tweet, Andrew. Prototype NYC with another one here. Also, I know it's one game, but Deuce needs more minutes. Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing. So let's actually let's play this out, because right now, as it stands, right? As it stands, when this team is healthy, there seems to be a place for Quentin Grimes, right? There seems to be a place for Quentin Grimes in the rotation. There does not necessarily seem to be a place for Deuce McBride. And that is because Deuce McBride plays point guard, and they are running out Derrick Rose. Well, they're actually starting Alec Burks, and they're also running out Derrick Rose and Emmanuel Quickley as the other two point guards. Has it gotten to the point where after one game, Deuce McBride needs to see time, regardless of anything else? I think you're gonna get some DMPs moving forward. I wouldn't be shocked, and people are gonna be angry, especially after tonight. But just my prediction. He should get time. All right, we got tips.
Sometimes there's going to be ebbs and flows, and things. Sometimes they're going great, sometimes they're not. And usually, the way you work your way out of that is with great effort. So cut hard, screen hard, defend hard, get to loose balls, get a couple layups, and then all of a sudden you get going. And things can change very quickly, and we got to make them change. Yep. Thank you. No.
We'll see who comes up next. Although maybe we'll get Deuce McBride on the post game. Just finishing that comment. Had energy, confident in his shot, good defense. Yeah, he's assertive. He's confident. He's confident. Michael Aaron with a comment. You're right. Fournier is not getting traded till the summer, but you can't bench him and ruin his trade value. I agree. You have to play him. But his minutes are ruining his trade value anyway. I have no idea what Tibbs Leon does here. I think you play him. I think at some point you probably have to try him with the bench unit. Try him with four guys that bring a lot of energy. Haven't talked about Mitchell Robinson much. I thought this was another rough game for me. I mean, I'm at the point now where it's like I thought Nerlens looked really good tonight. I thought Nerlens had a good game. Give me the Nerlens minutes at center. Give me 20 minutes of Nerlens at center. You want to give me 10, 12 minutes of Mitchell Robinson at center a game, and the rest, give me Obi. And try to pair up Fournier with the minutes where Obi's in the middle. And I know that obviously you're lacking rim protection there, but at least you got a lot of energy, and at least you got movement. Or potentially, I don't know. There's also some logic to keeping Fournier with Noel, but if Noel's going to start, you don't want Fournier in that starting group, because he just kills you with his lack of energy on the defensive end. I don't know. Here's what I know. I don't like Fournier with Randle on defense. I know that. I know I don't like that. Go from there. Drew P. Fournier is a culture energy killer. He makes Julius worse. It's a terrible match between the two of them. They feed off each other in the worst way. It's so frustrating. Lunas and Marat, schedule from Thursday of January 20th decides the whole season. All winnable and dictate whether they tank or go for the playoffs in different trades. Yeah, so again, I did it a couple days ago. I'll do it now. So the schedule lightens up now. From here on in, it's a lot of road games, but here are the teams they play. It's at Houston, at Boston. Boston's obviously playing very well right now. Then you got home games against Detroit, Washington, and Atlanta. Washington has not looked good since their early start to the season. That's been very good. Atlanta's been very inconsistent. That's a Christmas Day game. Then you got a 4-game road trip, all winnable games. But again, what's a winnable game for the Knicks right now? At Minnesota, at Detroit, at Oklahoma City, at Toronto. Then you got a couple home games: Indiana at Boston, then road at Boston, and then San Antonio at home. And then you got a bunch of again winnable games. Dallas at home. Dallas has not played well this season. It's Luka, but Dallas has not played well. You go to Atlanta and then a 4-game homestand. Charlotte, Minnesota, New Orleans, LA Clippers. Clippers have been very inconsistent. Not a lot of heavy hitters in there. And then it gets tougher. You have a hellaciously bad West Coast swing there in early February. Like, there is time to turn this season around if they play better. If they play better, they will win some of these games. Is that what's for the best? I still want them to win games. I still want them to win games, and then we'll see where we're at. But tough sledding right now.
Probably just miscommunication on the defensive end. And
We have Derrick Rose at the podium. He's good for a good quote. Well, let's listen to Derrick Rose.
like trying to learn. And normally when you run late, you catch the defense off guard. You get easy looks, and that's what they were doing.
Interesting. We're not getting Julius.
I mean, it was dope. It was dope. History was made.
Talking about Steph.
Of course, we were trying to stop that, but when he's such an elite shooter like that, it's kind of dope to be a part of it when you really think about it, the totality of it. End up breaking it in the Garden on the biggest stage. Like, it was meant to be. I mean, I can't put a finger on it. If I knew the answer, I said I can't come up with anything. Yeah, it's hard, but at the same time, you have to be a pro. You got to come in and do your job and try your hardest to figure things out. And that's the process that we're in right now. Just trying to figure things out on the fly. Yeah.
I know I'm very happy that Derrick Rose is on this team. I'll say that.
I really don't know. I mean, we got pretty close since he's been here.
So it's a question about Kemba Walker.
I know it's hard, but he's had a great attitude. He's been coming in early, same routine. Vibration and spirit still been very high during the games, off the court. He's just a good dude, you know. So I really didn't have time to really think about everything that's involved in that because that's not my place. But it's kind of hard to put myself in his shoes, you know, where I fought to get where I'm at and just trying to stay focused on like what's ahead. But I can't say he's in good spirits about it. If he is feeling a way about it, shit, I can't tell. Like the way he's coming in, like he hasn't changed anything. So he's been a professional about it, I'll say.
All right. Forgotten NYC with a comment in the super chat here. Oh, hold on. Rose just got asked about Deuce. Hang on.
This is very high. Of course, his defense is top tier, and he just needs the time. And
he just needs time.
Gives him the time. But we know how good he is, and we know how good the rookies are. So it's all about opportunity in this league.
It is indeed all about opportunity in this league. Well said. So, Forgotten NYC, back to your comment. Biggest thing with Fournier is that Julius legitimately looks annoyed whenever he passes to him. Pretty clear he doesn't like him. Yeah, I mean, Julius had a great relationship with Reggie Bullock last year, and those two guys worked beautifully together. And now Reggie's playing in Dallas. Reggie's struggling immensely. I know they don't. I know they don't like Reggie there. Boy, if there was a Kemba for Reggie trade on the table, who says no? I don't know. JD, McBride plus Turner in Summer League gives us our identity back. McBride plus Turner in the starting lineup. SL. I didn't know what you meant by SL. Gives us our identity back. I don't know that Miles Turner is like an identity changer on defense. I agree he will help. I thought Noel was played well on defense tonight. And obviously Miles Turner's a more gifted offensive player. There's no question about that. Yeah, I listen, I'm at the point where if you are like start Miles McBride, Alec Burks is not a starting point guard. Clearly, Derrick Rose is not a guy who Tibbs wants to start. I don't think he wants to start. I think you get diminishing returns when Derrick Rose starts. I think at this point in his career, he's a 22, 23 minute a game player. I don't think Emmanuel Quickley's ready to start a point guard. I mean, really, there have been worse suggestions. Let's listen to Julius for a minute.
Talking about when he broke the record? Are you talking about period or when he broke the record? Yeah, when he broke the record. Yeah, I mean, it's history. I mean, like, it's not like offensive. Like, I didn't take offense to it. But it's history. It's a part of the game.
Oh my God, Berman's trying to get Julius to say like he took offense to the celebration for Steph after the made three.
To be honest with you, man, I don't know. Games kind of running together. So at this point, I got to look at the film and really see what happened. Some offensive rebounds, some threes. Steph generates so much offense for them. Constantly have to put two on the ball when he's coming off the screen. So, and they do a great job of playing off of him.
Yeah, they do a great job of playing off him, except they separated themselves in the fourth quarter of this game when Steph wasn't even in the game. But of course, this game came down to the third quarter when they couldn't score, which I referenced earlier. Anyway, okay, back to the super chat. Hang on here, let me catch up. Okay. Tyler Michaels roster is almost the same as last year. Team was 500 for most of 2021 with good health. East is tougher now. Still time to turn it around. Don't panic yet. I mean, I don't think. Yes, the East is tougher. They were around 500 for most of last season. I completely agree with that. They were 25 and 26 or 25 and 27 or whatever the hell it was. The thing is that from very early on last season, like if you're an NBA team and you want to do anything, you need to have something you can fall back on. You need to have an identity. You need to say whatever's going on tonight, whoever's on, whoever's off, we're making shots, we're not making shots. We do this. Whether this is we play fast, or we have Steph Curry on our team, or we have Kevin Durant on our team, or we're gonna pick and roll you to death because we have Trae Young, or in the Knicks case last year, we're gonna play harder than you every possession, and we're gonna defend our asses off constantly. That's what we're gonna do. They don't have an identity this year, and in a really, really, really good East, where they are clearly lacking in top flight offensive talent. Clearly, the offensive pieces have not come together to make the whole greater than the sum of the parts. It's less. And now they don't have that defensive identity anymore. I'm just struggling to see where the obvious sign is that this team's going to turn it around. I don't know. I don't know the answer. There's still time to turn it around. But also to the more important part of your comment, which is don't panic yet. I don't even know what panicking would look like. I mean, yeah, if they traded like, I don't know, multiple unprotected first round picks and like several young players for De'Aaron Fox or something, like, yeah, that would be panicking. Or name your gettable like quasi star. Like, yeah, sure, that would be panicking. If they went out and gave the farm up for Ben Simmons, that would probably be panicking, although I'm probably in the minority. I think Ben Simmons could actually help them a little bit. I have no idea what the cost would be, but it doesn't sound like Daryl Morey wants to trade Ben Simmons for anything other than top 25 player, and they're not trading Julius Randle because they can't trade Julius Randle until February 3rd. But I digress. I don't know. They have to find their identity again. And again, I watched the team tonight. Yes, they only gave up 105 points, but they gave up 105 points to a team that missed a lot of open threes, to a team that's been struggling on offense, to a team that flew into New York today, which isn't even allowed anymore in the NBA because they had plane troubles. And there's just a lot of possessions where you look at it and you're like, this isn't a great defense. This isn't even a good defense. So what do they hang their hat on? I don't know what they hang their hat on. And I think until they find the thing to hang their hat on, it's just we're circling our wagons. I mean, and the thing that we all hang our hat on as fans is they have a really exciting young core of players. And that's why people who are like, play the kids, like, forget everything else, just play the kids. I can't even blame them at this point. Because it's not like in years past where people were like, play the kids, what are you doing? Then it was like we didn't know whether the young players on the team were any good or not. Like, we know these young players are good, and the young players probably going to help them win more games than the guys like Fournier and Randle. Not Randle, but like, again, it's so tough to talk about Randle. Fournier for sure though. G Beers. Evan is checked out. Starting to think he may not like Tibbs' role in the offense. Happy for the Deuce game. Tibbs needs to balance minutes third quarter. Yeah, I mean, anybody who wants to point to the third quarter that he kept Alec Burks in too long because Alec Burks, wasn't hitting a shot. I get it. Kept Evan in there for too long. That's fine. It's not like Quickley had a great game. You want to say he should have put Deuce in earlier? All right. It's, they lost. It's a fair comment. JD says in the regular chat, not getting DeRozan was a mistake. I mean, here's the thing I'll say. I think DeRozan has fit in really well in Chicago. And I think DeRozan playing alongside either Lonzo Ball or Alex Caruso at all times, not to mention some other good defenders on that team, and just being able to go out and be DeMar DeRozan and have a Zach LaVine alongside him and have, a Nikola Vucevic alongside him, who's a really talented offensive center. Like, that really worked. I don't know that if DeMar DeRozan were on this team, we would necessarily be talking about, like, a team that's at the place where the Bulls are. I think they'd be better. Obviously, they'd be better. Goes without saying. They also paid DeMar DeRozan 3 years and $85 million. Now, the Fournier contract is not that far off from that. 3 years and 54 is not nothing. So, yeah, I mean, it's absolutely a fair critique. As for Fournier not liking Tibbs or the role in the offense, I mean, what did he think? What did he think was going to happen? He's the one who I don't think is nearly assertive. He's not my type of player. Robert McGinley. I do not envy the front office these next few months. There is so much to figure out from a retool or a rebuild. A lot to think about. Sigh. Here's the good news. Shameless plug for this past podcast I did with Jeremy Cohen. Jeremy Cohen did a really nice job identifying that right now the Knicks kind of have too many draft assets. They have 3 picks, probably, assuming the Charlotte pick does not convey this year, which I don't think it will. They're going to have 3 first-round picks in the 23 draft, along with 4 second-round picks. They obviously have a lot of young players. We don't want to trade any of those young players, but they do have a lot of young players. Like, there's an opportunity for this team to retool and not give up anything that's really vital, moving forward. Um, that won't be easy. And I do think there is a real potential opportunity here to not necessarily hit the reset button, but at least, on this season, because again, I'm calling it like it is here, folks. Just calling it like it is. Don't get mad at me for just again saying what is. Right now, the Knicks have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th worst record in basketball. And actually, they have the 10th worst record in basketball, and they are one game from having the sixth worst record in basketball. Detroit, Orlando, New Orleans, Oklahoma City, and Houston, those 5 are in a class by themselves. I do not think, and I do not want the Knicks to catch them. I don't want the Knicks to catch them. But if anyone in here is like, you know what, maybe we should have an about face and think about this season very differently in terms of what the opportunity is that has availed itself to us, it would be real easy for the Knicks to pivot and sneak their way into that 6, 7, 8 range in the lottery while still putting out young players that clearly we like to see them play. Winning a game here or there that they're probably not supposed to win, feeling good about themselves, keeping the culture high, keeping the accountability high. Is that the direction we want to go? Are we ready to say that at 12 and 16 with since the 5-1 start, the 25th or 26th ranked net rating in basketball? I don't know. I don't think I'm there yet because they're also, again, I was about to say they're 2 games here's what I can say. They're 2 games behind having the 16th worst record in basketball. Yay. That's where we're at. Look up and down the stand. I mean, okay, here. They are 3 games back of the Lakers. And the Lakers are currently in a 3-way tie for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th worst record. Or 11th best record, 11th best record. You want to look at the season as half full, you want to look at it half empty. It's up to you. Where they are right now, and this goes to this comment, I do not envy the front office because they could go in any number of directions right now. And any one of them would be defensible. Jeremy Chase with a comment. Andrew, it turns out Peter Parker is a Knicks fan. And he kills himself with listening to Reggie Miller call a game. Good comment. Anthony Sixto in the super chat. Thank you, Anthony. Randle did a lot in the second half to keep the game from tipping into blowout territory. You're very right. Criticism is fair, but he's due some props. Yeah, 100%. He's due some props. He didn't have a bad game. He had a good game. Overall, he had a good game. But I always like to kind of keep it 100, as they say, with Julius. Like, I'm at the point now where I'm starting to grade him a little bit harsher. And I think the reason I'm starting to grade him a little bit harsher is because I thought with the benching of Kemba, it would really turn him around in terms of how he approached the game. And it would get more of the consistency on both ends back what we saw last year. And initially after the Kemba benching, I did think we saw that. And then since then, it's been a little bit more hit and miss. And again, tonight there were a lot of examples. Not a lot. There were examples, and they were obvious examples where you saw, again, moments where with this team, down the guys that they're down, playing the team that they're playing, everyone's got to be on full tilt. And, he wasn't. Is he doing a lot on offense? Yes, I get that. He also didn't have a great, first kind of 2.5, 3 quarters. Not a bad game. Not a bad game, but I am not going to sit here and sing his praises after that game. I think he had a solid game. I think he was good. He was okay. He'd probably get a start tomorrow because, again, nobody else deserves one. And Miles Turner Wednesday. I like that. The Neil's next door. Any chance Evan will play better with the bench? Hold on. I get the rest of that comment in a second. Super chat just scrolled down on me. Thank you guys, everybody, by the way, who's in the chat and the super chat. Oh no, that comment disappeared. Where'd it go? Andrew, I missed the end of that comment. Is there any chance that Evan would play better with the bench? If you want to send me a pic of that, I'll read the rest of it. But yeah, I think there's a chance he plays better with the bench. I mean, can't play much worse. I do think he needs to be surrounded by more energy. I'll say that. We'll see what happens from there. D Zilla, what's going on, D? I think we can find a ticket for Knox? ? He basically can do all the things Fournier can do for us on just a cheaper contract. I don't think Kevin Knox, there is still, Fournier has shown the ability over years and years and years to do a lot of things that are good and help teams win. He's not doing a lot of those things for this team. He's leaning into a lot of his worst tendencies. There's still a helpful player in there for some team. I'm just not sure it's for our team. As for Knox, I mean, you'd find someone willing to take on his salary. I'm sure someone willing to pay him for the rest of this year to find out what he is on their roster. Should we do that? I don't know. The rest of the comment. So we can go back to this Fournier. So put him on the bench. We'd go back to having the ball in his hands a little more. That's a good comment. It's a good thought. He clearly likes having the ball in his hands. Good comment. Yeah, I think that's very fair. Doug Lust. I covet the Dubs ball movement so terribly. I mean, we all do. But that's, they're the only team in the league that does that. I wish we did. We don't have that kind of personnel, unfortunately. And honestly, I don't think that's Tibbs' coaching style. And that's certainly a criticism of him. CT Pittman, what's going on, CT? Always a pleasure. Macri, please explain to me how Evan and Julius could look so good in the opener versus Boston and how they look now. It worked for a few games. What could possibly make things go downhill so fast? CT, if I had the answer to that question, I'd be a very rich man. Because I don't. I wish I did, and I'm sorry I don't. I think there was a loosey-goosiness to the early season that is gone now. I think Kemba coming out and hitting 60% from three really loosened up the offense because, my God, why wouldn't it? And, yeah, I think that's kind of it. I don't know. I mean, I never felt like they developed anything really like what we saw with Julius and Reggie last year. They had some nice moments. They had a lot of nice moments, but it's a great point. It really is a great point. Okay. Okay, we got a few more here. Robert Cross, KFS playback watch parties are a winner. Encourage all people to become Patreon members. Hashtag 53 wins. Thank you, Robert. Kevin McEwen, my main man. What's going on, Kev? How are you? Something has to be wrong with Fournier. Dude just looks really, really, really bad. I think it's the fit. I think he doesn't want to be. I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine he's having fun. It's not fun for him. We haven't seen him in a post-game podium in God knows over a month, probably because the team is afraid of what the fuck he would say. It's not a good fit. I just don't know. I don't think you're going to find a deal that makes sense for you if you're the Knicks before the deadline. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he starts hitting shots and they can move him. But I think it's going to be more a summer thing. Good to hear from you, Kevin. Thanks so much for the contribution. Kevin Danishevsky, How do you think Rokas fits in with the young core of this team when he arrives in the States? How do you juggle IQ, Rokas, Grimes, RJ, Sims, Deuce? It's a good problem to have. Listen, I'll worry about Rokas when he comes. Right now, I think in between Quickley and Deuce, you got a couple of young potential point guards who are going to give you, something to be excited about in the near future with some growing pains. Rokas, I think, is good trade bait more than anything. Here's the thing: if you get Miles Turner for Kemba or Noel, or Kemba and Noel, or one of them, and Knox and Rokas and the Dallas pick and the Charlotte pick, I'm here for it. Jason M, what's going on, Jason? McBride's and Grimes defense is a game changer. If Tibbs wants the team to get back to a defensive identity, he has to play them extensive minutes. Again, I don't know if it has to be extensive minutes, but their defense pops off the screen. I can't wait for Grimes to get back. It's like we miss him. There's no other way to say it. We miss him. Hush Zoo. In your mind, knowing Randle is a number something, who's your top 3 guys you think would perfectly suit Randle and his play style? No Curry or KD. Who suits Randle and his play style? Well, that's part of the problem. I don't think there is an obvious name. I really don't think there is an obvious name. I don't see him playing with another big in a way that's like perfect. Like, yeah, in theory, the pairing with Turner or, like, God forbid, Karl Anthony Towns, in theory, that works. But again, Julius is a guy who likes to have the ball. So how do you play off of a guy who likes to have the ball and clearly operates best with the ball when there's a limit to what he could do with the ball? From an efficiency standpoint, from a playmaking standpoint, from every standpoint. So who are we pairing? What version of Julius are we pairing with this other theoretical player? Are we pairing the version of Julius that, like, occasionally does play off of a guard and, like, the guard will set him up and he'll roll downhill for a nice finish? Or are we pairing him with a guy who's going to play off of him constantly? And, like, name any of the best players in the league. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, Klay Thompson? Klay Thompson would be a good fit with Julius. There's a guy who doesn't need the ball, and he's like the best off-ball player of his generation. I don't know, but that's not a very satisfying answer. He's just a tough fit. He's a tough fit to build around. Thank you, Andrew. LeBron James, Andrew Claudio, ladies and gentlemen. Very funny. He's a tough fit, and we knew he was a tough fit last year. And I think we were like, okay, let's see what he looks like with some better players around him, and hasn't worked. So what do you do? Do you keep trying to try it out, or do you try to make him some other team's problem? I don't know. Overratedness. Bring back Theo Pinson, please, God. Yes, thank you. Gregory Alcala. I know it's early in the season, but I think the year is a wrap, J-Mac. Okay, here we go. The defense is starting to look pre-Tibbs, and I can't help but think that the rookies will give us the fight the vets don't. Play the kids and ship Randle. So, hopefully Andrew doesn't mind. I know we're going a little bit long on the chat here, but I do want to pull up, because I always love pulling up these numbers. So the Knicks on-off numbers defensively. So as you know, I live to help pay Tom Thibodeau's salary, and I am a Tom Thibodeau apologist through and through. We'll never jump off that ship. So I must do this. I don't believe Tom Thibodeau has forgotten how to coach a good defense. I believe this combination of players that are out there on the floor a lot of the time are not playing the defense that can be played in the Thibodeau scheme. So this year on the court, I don't even need to look further than the first fucking number. Obi Toppin in 413 minutes. May say that again. Obi Toppin, a guy who, if anybody believed in his defense, would have been a top 3 pick in the NBA draft, or at the very worst, a top 4 pick, and might have been the first overall pick if anybody thought he could be an NBA defender. That Obi Toppin has played 413 minutes this year. And in 413 minutes this year, the team has a 100.8 defensive rating with Obi Toppin on the floor. Is that because Obi Toppin has suddenly transformed into Bill Russell? No, it's not. It's because when you put players on the floor who play their asses off and fly around, and you put them in a Thibodeau scheme that knows what the fuck it's doing, and they know what the fuck they're doing, guess what? You're going to have a good defense. And they don't have enough of those players. Plain and simple. So, yeah, there's been a lot of times where it looks like a pre-Thibodeau defense, but I don't put that on Tibbs. I put that on the players. That's just me. Derrick Rose, 624 minutes, 102.8 on-court defensive rating. You know, those numbers, by the way, respectively, would rank second. Both of those numbers would rank second in basketball. And Christ, Derrick Rose has played almost half the minutes. He's played almost half the minutes for this team. And again, we're talking about Derrick Rose. We're not talking about fucking Marcus Smart or Drew Holiday. We're talking about Derrick Rose. He's played half the minutes for the Knicks, and in those fucking half the minutes, they have a equivalent defensive rating to this would be the second best team in the league. It's so fucking frustrating that this team, it's there, and they're just, the players can't do it. And it's not just Julius, it's not just Evan, it's not just the centers, it's everything. So everything together. Ugh. Sorry. Ivan Omar. I'll only give up on the season if we fare badly in the next 8 games. If we can end the year with a 500 record, we can still push for a playoff run, win or lose. Hashtag New York forever. Hashtag bench the French. I like that. Bench the French. That might be something that gets us going here. If they finish the year with a 500 record, yeah, I'll still be on board. So that means, just to be very clear, by the way, Julius, we missed this comment. We'll see what happens. This is from Julius. Not we'll see what happens. We're going to get it done. We're going to figure it out. All right, he's still confident. So just to be clear, for them to finish this season with a 500 record, they would need to win 4 more games than they lose, right? If we could end the year with a 500 record. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games left. So that means you think they're going to go 6-2. Houston, Boston, Detroit, Washington, Atlanta, Minnesota, Detroit, Oklahoma City. Can they go 6-2? They can. We'll see. Not counting on it. Say that. God, this team is frustrating. Parrish Duggar. Great name. When do we start calling out Rose for looking 40? I'm not calling out Rose because I still say he's been the best player on balance all year long for this team. He looks old because I think he's playing too many minutes and he wears down. Except he's never going to say it. And that's, Tibbs feels more comfortable with him than he does anybody else, and I don't really blame him. Jay Nees. Randle's a number 2 with the responsibilities for number 1, 100%. Players like Randle do not grow on trees. Just saying, I agree they don't go on trees, and he is without question, their most talented offensive player. No question. No, I've said a lot of things about Julius Randle this year. Never back down on that fact. He's by far their most talented offensive player. He's the only guy that draws doubles. on this team other than Derrick Rose, who, again, is a 33-year-old point guard and starting to look his age. I'm not begrudging Julius Randle that fact. And I'm not even saying the Knicks aren't going to be worse if they got rid of him or moved him for something real, which I don't want to say get rid of him. I don't want to get rid of him. If there's an opportunity to improve the long-term future for your team where you could move this player who, by the way, implicit in your comment is that he's a number 2 with the responsibilities of number 1, that implies that he can be a number 2 and can function as a number 2, which I have my doubts after what we've seen this year. I understand that players like him don't grow on trees, and that's why I've defended him a lot this year, more than I should have, to my own detriment. I just don't know what you do. I just don't know what you do. There are no easy, simple answers, and I don't pretend to have them. Kevin Danishevsky, back for more. What's going on, Kev? Thank you again for your contribution. I will still defend the Fournier signing in theory. Well, sure. I don't know how you can watch that Atlanta series and not knowing what we know, not think he'd help. He's the exact player who you thought. He's like literally the archetype of like, it's Reggie Bullock, except he could do more stuff minus the defense. That's literally what he is. Turns out the minus the defense part, pretty big deal. And I think we probably undersold the chemistry that Randle developed with Reggie Bullock to the point that both of those guys got so comfortable with each other last year that it was the fundamental part of their offense, other than Derrick Rose driving the ball. And they sacrificed that for Fournier. And they paid him twice as much money as Reggie Bullock is getting, by the way. It can't be glossed over. I defended it too. So who the fuck am I? What do I know? I see a lot of Tibbs hate in the chat. I mean, look, guys. I know it's what we do here. We blame the coach, right? It's what you do, right? When things are bad, you blame the coach. Coach isn't playing the right guys. Coach isn't putting the play. Come on. You don't get to have it both ways. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Anyone who wants to put the blame on Tibbs, answer me why we have a bench unit that is better, literally, than any bench unit in the league. Is it like schemes working? Players are in roles that help them succeed? And then, okay, so we want to move those guys into the starting lineup. Okay, great. Who replaces them? Is it the right? He's not mixing the parts together the right way. Is that it? Right? Okay. We've seen a lot of different mixing and matching this year. We've seen starters play with bench guys. We've seen bench guys play with starters. We've seen Tibbs adjust massively on that end. This is a man who does not like to mix and match parts. He likes to have a starting flight and a finishing flight. He's done that throughout his entire career. He's abandoned it this year for all the reasons all of us talk about. Because the bench guys are good. The starters suck. It's not that easy. It's not that easy to build an offense around a power forward who is a pretty good passer and has not been able to make tough shots, who made tough shots last year. It's not easy to build an offense around a wing who was literally the worst shooter in basketball for a month and change. It's not easy to build a defense around Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier or featuring two centers who can't get out of their own way. Everybody wants to gloss over these things. It's Tibbs' fault. Tibbs' fault. Yeah, go hire Jeff Hornacek or Derek Fisher or Kurt Rambis or who are some of the other all-stars we've had over here? Isaiah Thomas, Larry Brown. Good coaches come here and fail. Lenny Wilkins has more wins than anybody in the history of basketball except for Don Nelson. Don Nelson, another guy who came here and failed. Lenny Wilkins came here and failed. Larry Brown, God's gift of basketball, came here and fell flat on his fucking face. Mike D'Antoni, coach of the year, 2-time coach of the year, came here, fell on his face. All these guys, coincidentally, come here to this organization, this franchise, and fall flat on their fucking face. And this coach comes in here and wins coach of the year and does what with this dog shit roster? 41 games, 21.5 Vegas over under. It's his fault. Yes, it's his fault. Fire the man. Fire him. It's amusing to me. It's amusing to me. I need something to laugh at. What can I say? We'll end after this. Kareem is sore. Hot take. I think Obi has been better than Rose. Can't remember Obi having a bad game yet. Yeah, Andrew Claudio said the same thing on our playback. That's not a hot take. That's a fair take. I think of Rose. I think of Obi in a different context. Because Obi, he's a finisher, right? You set him up, he throws him down. And they've used him brilliantly in that respect. They have not asked him to do a lot of creation. Derrick Rose, everything is creation. He creates everything. He creates everything out of thin air. That's what he's there to do. And I think his defense has been a little bit better than Obi's too, if I'm being honest. But if you want to say that, like, just in a vacuum, has Obi Toppin been better at what he has been asked to do than when Derrick Rose has been at what he has been asked to do? That's fair. Those are different roles and responsibilities in my eyes, which is actually a defensive Randle. It's a defensive Randle too, because he's being asked to do way more than Obi Toppin. But he's not done well with that, and he has to own that. All right, I think an hour is more than enough time to talk about this game. Shout out again, Deuce McBride. We love you, Deuce, and thanks everybody for joining us, contributing. Even if you think I'm an idiot, come back and think I'm an idiot some more the next time. I love to have you. And until then, everybody have a good couple of days, and we'll see you soon. Peace out.